The winter months have been pretty rough on us on the landscaping business side, and we luckily got a little contract with the town to help out removing snow. And that's what we're doing here in December. Just trying to get through until spring and we can get some more landscaping jobs. But winter's been hitting pretty hard, and you know, we got this truck that is the county's truck that we're being able to use here with the plow on the front. Luckily, we don't have to put any damage or extra hours on our own brand new truck that we really haven't been able to utilize yet. Yeah, you can see lots of roads to clear. We got to get this town, you know, people got to get home from work. It's getting late. It's getting close to that time of the day. And we got to make some progress here and get these roads all cleared for them. You know, they want us to prioritize these main roads here, and then the interior roads there that run, you know, east and west, they want us to do next, but got to get these main ones done first. You see, there's brave people out here driving on it right now, but hoping, you know, in a little bit of time, snow is slowing down a little bit, so hoping to get this cleared enough for people to feel a little more safe on the road. Nice to be able to help out the community and make some money doing it. And the snow's been so consistent that we're going to be out here multiple times this winter, and you know, it's a job. It's going to help us get by until spring, like I said, and that's the main thing right now, is making sure we got enough money coming in to survive until we get into spring. And I do have a couple leads on some actual yard remodels, and we really I couldn't, you know, justify taking their money until we're ready to start the jobs, but we definitely want to look for getting those deposits soon and get the contracts locked in, and just, you know, really excited about some of the things that are really unfolding here. And we're going to get into more than just cutting grass this spring, which is super exciting. Yeah, another part of this job that's really fun is being able to use the road salt and clear the roads that way and make sure it's not slick. You know, even though we, you know, removed some snow with the plows, sometimes it doesn't completely, you know, get that bottom layer, and it turns into ice when the temperature drops. So putting some salt down will help it melt, make the roads safer. But, you know, you're looking at what we're going to be doing pretty much all winter to get by. We got half of our paycheck so far. We should make another, you know, $2,000 this winter, which is really nice. It gives us enough money to eat, gives us enough money to basically, you know, pay for some maintenance we'll need to do on the equipment leading into spring. And, you know, luckily we have that sweet deal with the motel. We got a place to live still. Well, it's a little overcast, but we are expecting a pretty sunny morning here in April. We got some jobs to do. You know, our regular contracts that we did win last fall are starting to pick back up, so we're going to head on in and see which ones need cut, start collecting a little bit of money. And I do have a meeting later today to discuss our first real yard remodel design. And that project should be, you know, pretty exciting. Should start adding a new type of business, or new type of jobs to our business, I should say. And should be the next step in making enough money to possibly buy a house to put on our property. Really getting use out of this new setup finally. It's been a long time just sitting on the property waiting to make our money back from it. We spent a lot. It was a risk, but I think it definitely makes us look a little more professional. It feels like we were just here cutting this lawn not, you know, too long ago, maybe like 3 days ago it feels like, and we're back on it. One of our regular projects here, and just, you know, this is going to be part of the revenue stream that really helps out. We're going to keep cruising around town checking those other spots, but, you know, this one was the newest one that we got, and they were the first ones that did sign the long contract with us to be the regular lawn maintenance guy. And it's going to turn out pretty good, I think. So we'll get this one done. We'll do some other ones, and really looking forward to that meeting. The big thing I got to do is make sure I don't underbid. You know, we want to make sure we're making enough money on these projects that are going to be a little bit more time consuming than just mowing. And it's new to me, so I don't want to get myself in a situation where I leave money on the table that I could have earned. All right, there's one done. We're gonna just kind of cruise around and find the other ones on this. We got all the maintenance done. We started off with a fresh tank of fuel this morning. And yeah, I think it's just to our left here. We have a couple more houses. We will have to get to the the park eventually. I think that'll happen later this month when they'll want us to do that again. But yeah, here's a... Well, is this one? All the houses look the same. They all look the same, so we should have... Yes. Oh, you know what? We really need to prioritize this. Go ahead and get going here. We got to keep our ability to have a place to sleep. So yeah, let's get this one going. Won't be any pay for this. The other one we should be getting about, $200 from them. And, at the end of the day, we'll probably go cash all of our checks at one time. But we got to stay busy here. Got to get to that meeting later this afternoon. But boy, this is so much faster than it was the first time. This new upgraded equipment, definitely worth the money. This job's done. Across the street's done. It's got this little spot to get. And, I need to ask them. Like, it's such a small area that we're not cutting already. Yeah, let's see if they're awake at this point. You know what? We'll come back. It's 6:30 in the morning. They're probably already annoyed by all the noise we're making. Let's drive back to the truck. Go get some breakfast and gotta head over to that meeting. Well, a nice breakfast and $300 deposited later. We're heading on over to the barber's property. We do need to cut it first. He should be back momentarily, but I wanted to take a look because we were going to talk about doing some work for him today. That was not just cutting the grass. But before he gets here, I figured we could spend the time to cut what we cut before, and we'll talk to him if he wants us to extend it a little bit farther. But let's get this yard looking pretty clean, if I can drive straight before he gets back. Well, that's looking pretty clean. I think he'll be happy when he gets here. Let's put this back on the truck, get ready for him to arrive, and really negotiate this cool new job, first job. I'm excited. Something that's not just cutting grass. It's going to be good stuff. All right, well, our bank account's looking much better, and just had a nice conversation with the Bill the barber, and this right here is getting removed. We're not getting paid for that. That's not part of the $2,000 deposit that you're seeing, but the work we're going to do afterwards is really going to be our part. So hoping to see this gone in the morning. He does have another company coming in to remove it, and we're going to get started on, extending his yard. And he wanted a tiny pond. Just a small little pond. So we're gonna figure out. I'm hoping we could pull it off with the bobcat. I don't want to spend a lot of money. I want to make as much profit as possible on this $4,000 contract. And yeah, I'm excited to get to work tomorrow. Well, these guys made a mess of this property, but it could have been worse for what they had to do. So what we're going to do first is smooth it out. Then we're going to take a look at the distance from the backyard where we really want to put that pond. All right, we're making some passes here, just trying to smooth things out to begin with. And with how soft the ground is, it's making my job a lot harder. Well, at least this phase of the job. I think once we get to the point where we're digging, we're gonna appreciate how soft the ground is. But that's turning out pretty good. This bobcat's doing its job. Come around right here and just do the same thing. Yeah, like I said, it'll give us a little bit better of a starting point. Yeah, I think that's pretty good there. We'll just start making a pile of this. Ah! All right, so that's a good starting point. So what we're gonna want is enough room. They're gonna want to put some tables out here, maybe a barbecue and everything, and then have a little bit of grass, and then get the pond out, like right around here. So I think what we'll start doing is just kind of digging. We'll get the hole dug, and then we'll go from there. We'll get him approved by him, but we're gonna have to make a pile of dirt over here and just kind of go with it. See, about right here seems to be a good spot to start. Okay. And I think right here will be safe to just start piling this stuff up. Yeah, we'll have to get a truck here later on to move that stuff to the dump yard. And just keep kind of going. Yeah. We might be in over our head, but what I wanted to do with this smaller project is find out if the bobcat's going to be good enough to dig this. And then there's another lead that we had in town that potentially was going to be another larger pond that I feel like we could pull it off with the bobcat for this smaller job, but once we get to that bigger one, I don't know. You know, small chunks at a time, we're making progress. I'll see you on the other side. You know, just something really small like this. And I think it'll hold the water. We're gonna get the hose out, start filling it up. We're gonna see how this is gonna work out. Fingers crossed. Well, I think it's looking pretty good so far. We got some plants to plant and some grass to, you know, we're gonna bring in some sod to get it taken care of. But I think this is looking pretty good for a first job here. But we gotta get the rest of this done. Well, after some increased material costs, we're finally done, and I think it's looking great. We got these flower beds over here for a little decoration for them. Nice little area to sit, and you know, they like their little grill, so they're gonna keep that. But the pond turned out great. We got these little, you know, trees added as well. We planted a couple cherry trees, which are gonna look real pretty this time of year for them. And, you know, look at the detail of the pond. Looking good. And a little gazebo over here as well for just hanging out and enjoying the view. I think that's pretty sweet. And a shot from the drone. Looking gorgeous. Not bad for our first job. I think it turned out pretty good. Get some feedback from you guys and see what we could have done a little bit better for them. Another view from this side. Yeah, looking good. Looking real good. I think Bill, you know, he's very happy with this. You know, the only thing we have left to do is just kind of load up the skid steer and the mower and get home. You know, just taking kind of a look back here from the truck, you know, when you drive by, people are going to know people are going to know that it was our work. You know, he's definitely going to do a lot of advertising for us. So let's go ahead and get back to our property. Figure out what's next. Well, $8,500 just isn't enough yet to really start planning this out. We know we want a small home on here, and we might have to take out a loan for that. There is a property in town, you know, we talked about that they kind of wanted to see how we did that job. And we're gonna talk with them tomorrow. Hopefully get a nice deposit, and it's gonna be a decent sized contract. So I'm hoping that's enough to give us some leverage with the bank. What are you doing, truck? Don't move. Don't move. Come on, stay there. And, you know, and then we can start grading this. We can bring in some harder dirt. We got to figure out how to get this not to be soft, and maybe some gravel or paved areas for parking. That might be what we start with, because every time we drive on here, boy, it gets nasty. But that was an eventful day. Couple days so far in spring.